Hi everybody, welcome to this review video for our third unit, Biochemistry. And in this video I want to help review some of the main concepts, some of the most important things from our unit, and this video should help guide your studying for our test that's coming up very soon. You should not use this video all by itself. What I want you to do is view this video, get the most important things, and then go back to the more specific tutorial videos to get the specific information that you need. So remember, those videos are always available to you. So please do that. Don't just watch this video and then be done with it. So our first part of the unit was all about atoms, atomic structure, and this was a little bit of a review for you. We reviewed how the nucleus of the atom has protons and neutrons, and how flying around the nucleus are electrons, and that the symbol on the periodic table can actually tell us a lot about the atom, how many protons it has, how many neutrons it has, and how many electrons it has. But that was a little bit of a review for you. Then we talked about how atoms can actually get together to form compounds or molecules. Remember, it's all about the electron. So electrons can either be donated or accepted by certain types of atoms, and that's going to change their electric charge, and they're going to be attracted to each other, and that's what bonds them together. In other types of molecules, the electrons are actually shared between the two atoms, so they're not given up or taken away, they're just being shared, and that also brings two molecules together in a chemical bond and allows all kinds of complex molecules to be made. Make sure you go check out the video, the tutorial video 2.1 to get more information on that. Then we talked about molecules that are actually important to life. For example, water. Water has some very unique chemical and physical properties, and those properties it has because of its chemical it's the chemical bonding that's going on between water molecules. So not within the water molecule, but between one molecule and another water molecule, and we call that hydrogen bonding. And because of this hydrogen bonding, water has some very unique properties, and you can watch video 2.2 to get all the details behind all of those properties. For example, things like cohesion and adhesion, surface tension, a high specific heat, meaning that water warms up slowly and cools down slowly, and that has important implications for biological organisms as well. Then we moved on to talk more about water, but more in the respect of pH. So how can a water solution be acidic, or how can it be basic? And what are the consequences for living organisms when water solutions are either acidic or basic? Remember, it's the things that we add to water in its solution that causes it to be acidic or basic, and that acids and bases are both dangerous to living things, and that living things and living cells prefer to have a water environment that's close to neutral, that's close to a pH measurement of 7. Remember, the pH scale goes from 0 to 14, and neutral measurement is 7. Then we moved on to talking about all kinds of interesting biological molecules, and we actually used narcotics or drugs as a frame of reference for that. We talked at length about the cannabis plant and how cannabis plant cells produce THC, tetrahydrochloride. That's the actual compound that when humans use or abuse marijuana, that's actually the chemical that interacts with the human brain to give it its effects, and which is why people use it. And we talked about how the atoms in THC are the same atoms that are in the glucose molecule that the plant also creates by photosynthesis. So it's kind of interesting that that carbon came from the air, made its way into a glucose molecule through photosynthesis, and then the plant simply rearranges those glucose molecules into something more complex, for example, THC, and the plant has a use for that molecule. So we also talked about the 4 main molecules that all living things, all living cells must be made of. The first one was carbohydrates, primary energy source for living things. The second was proteins. Those are the building blocks of cells. Those are the action molecules. For example, enzymes and hormones and antibodies are examples of proteins. And we talked about lipids and how lipids have a diverse array of functions. They can act as fat or as oils, and can have different functions, whether they are a fat or an oil, for example. And then we talked about nucleic acids, which are things like DNA and RNA, and those are the information molecules that all living cells must have. So between the carbohydrates, the proteins, the lipids, and the nucleic acid, a cell has everything that it needs to live its life. And then the last part of our unit was all about enzymes. We focused on a certain kind of protein, enzymes, that are found within cells, and sometimes cells secrete them to the outside to do various functions. But we did a lot of experimentation with the enzymes. We focused on peroxidase, which is the enzyme found in the potato cells and the liver cells, and we found out that this enzyme is responsible for breaking down a toxic substance, hydrogen peroxide, into two substances that are not toxic. And that's a very important function for a cell, to be able to protect itself by breaking down things that are harmful to it. We also talked about how enzymes do other things too. They digest things into nutrients. They are responsible for helping all kinds of other chemical reactions happen inside the cell. So go back and view tutorial 2.5 video to get more detail on enzymes if you need to be refreshed on what an enzyme is and how an enzyme works. And that's basically it. That was our Biochemistry 1 unit, an introduction to biochemistry. Make sure you go back and view the individual tutorial videos to get more detail on all those topics. And if you have any other questions, make sure you email them to me. I'm pretty good at returning emails quickly. Or you can contact me on Twitter, and I'll send you a message right back. So while you're studying for our test, make sure you have the ability to get in contact with me if you need to. So there you go. There's your review video for Unit 3 Biochemistry. I hope that was at least a little bit helpful. Remember, to get more detailed information, go back and review the tutorial videos or the textbook chapter sections to get a lot more detail for your studying. And I'll see you for our in-class review and for our unit test.